Guess who's back? Bubba G! But Bubba G is here to teach Bible basics for all those who want to know, but especially those 10 and under, because you must learn. In the last video, we saw Josiah. Yes, remember? He found the book of the law, and the prophet came and told him these things. So in this video, we're going to see what happened next. Where you at, Bubba G? Chapter 2 Kings, chapter 23. King Josiah summoned all the leaders of Judah and Jerusalem. And together they went to the temple, accompanied by the priests and the prophets, and all the rest of the people, rich and poor alike. Before them all, the king read aloud the whole book of the covenant which had been found in the temple. He stood by the royal column and made a covenant with the Lord to obey him and to keep his laws and commands with all his heart and soul, and to put into practice the demands attached to the covenant as written in the book. And all the people promised to keep the covenant. This is a good thing. Verse 4, Then Josiah ordered the high priests, Hilkiah and his assistant priests, and the guards on duty at the entrance to the temple to bring out of the temple all the objects used in the worship of Baal, of the goddess of Asherah, and of the stars. The king burned all these objects outside the city near Kidron Valley, and then had the ashes taken to Bethel. He removed from office the priest that the king of Judah had ordained to offer sacrifices on the pagan altars in the cities of Judah and in the places near Jerusalem. And all the priests who offer sacrifices to Baal, to the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars. He removed from the temple the symbol of the goddess Asherah, took it out of the city to Kidron Valley, burned it, pounded its ashes to dust, and scattered it over the public burying ground. He destroyed the living quarters in the temple, occupied by the temple prostitutes. It was there that women wore robes used in the worship of Asherah. He brought to Jerusalem the priests who were in the city of Judah. And throughout the whole country, he desecrated the altars where they had offered sacrifices. He also tore down the altars dedicated to the goat demons near the gate built by Joshua, the city governor, which was to the left of the main gate as one enters the city. Those priests were not allowed to serve in the temple, but they could eat the unleavened bread provided for their fellow priests. King Josiah also desecrated Topheth, the pagan place of worship in Hinnom Valley, so that no one could sacrifice his son or daughter as a burnt offering to the god of Molech. He also removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the worship of the sun. And he burned the chariots used in this worship. These were kept in the temple courtyard near the gate, and not far from the living quarters of Nathan Melech, a high official. The altars which the kings of Judah had built on the palace roof above King Ahaz's quarters, King Josiah tore down, along with the altars put up by King Manasseh in the two courtyards of the temple. He smashed the altars to bits and threw them into Kidron Valley. Josiah desecrated the altars that King Solomon had built east of Jerusalem, south of the Mount of Olives, for the worship of disgusting idols. Astarte, the goddess of Sidon, Shamash, the god of Moab, and Molech, the god of Ammon. King Josiah broke the stone pillars to pieces, cut down the symbols of the goddess Asherah, and the ground where they had stood he covered with human bones. Josiah also tore down the place of worship of Bethel. No, he also tore down the place of worship in Bethel, which had been built by King Jeroboam, son of Nebat, who led Israel into sin. Remember? Joash pulled down the altar, broke its stones into pieces, and pounded them to dust. He also burned the image of Asherah. Then Josiah looked around and saw some tombs there on the hills. He had the bones taken out of them and burned on the altar. In this way, he desecrated the altar, doing what the prophet had predicted long before during the festival. As King Jeroboam was standing by the altar, King Josiah looked around and saw the tomb of the prophet who had made this prediction. Whose tomb is that? He asked. The people of Bethel answered, "It is the tomb of the prophet who came from Judah and predicted these things that you have done to this altar." "Leave it as it is," Josiah ordered. "His bones are not to be moved." So his bones were not moved, neither were those of the prophet who had came from Samaria. In every city of Israel, King Josiah tore down all the pagan places of worship, which had been built by the kings of Israel, who thereby aroused the Lord's anger. He did that. He did to all those altars what he had done in Bethel. He killed all the pagan priests on the altars where they served, and he burned human bones on every altar. Then he returned to Jerusalem. So what do we see here? We see Josiah getting down. He was like, "We getting rid of all this junk, man." So that's what he did. He burned all the disgusting gods and he smashed them into dust. Ain't that what it said? Yes. Yes, yes, yes.